The Indiana Fever have 52 hours to determine if Caitlin Clark will ride into the Indianapolis 500 on a back that was unable to withstand the practice on Tuesday or the tip on Wednesday. One pace car, 12:29 Sunday afternoon, 350,000 spectators, and Herb Simon, who chose to spend $78 million on a building that will open in 2027 rather than the bench that Caitlin Clark need in 2026. Caitlin Clark was scratched by the Indiana Fever on Wednesday afternoon at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, with tip-off less than 90 minutes away. Back ailment. For a player who wasn't listed on the team's injury report on Tuesday, that was the statement they sent to the media. In Clark's place, number 5 finished her warm-ups and made her way to center court. Her name is Tyasha Harris. She was born in Indianapolis, graduated from South Carolina, played in the WNBA for 5 years, and had knee surgery less than a year ago. From the field, she was 0 for 6. 29 minutes, 0 points, 7 assists. The Beavers still triumphed, 90-73 over Portland. Aaliyah Boston had 8 rebounds and 24 points. Lexi Hull finished plus 24 after going 4 for 4 from 3 for 16 points. The players Herb Simon paid the least were the ones who won. Because this is the part that most people overlook. Herb Simon did not create the club that prevailed on Wednesday. While the bench Herb Simon paid for went beyond 6, Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull managed to keep the team together. Herb Simon made that commitment to the Indiana Fever Sports Performance Center in September of last year. The 3-story, 108,000-square-foot building opens before the 2027 season. For a player whose back failed in 2026, there is currently no practicing facility. When construction on that facility began in September, Simon referred to it as a new benchmark for women's sports. NBA and WNBA Commissioner Adam Silver personally traveled to Indianapolis for the event. He discussed how Herb Simon had contributed to all of the major advancements in basketball during the previous 40 years. The speech was delivered by Krauskopf. Mitchell and Boston stood for the picture opportunity. Dirt was turned by the shovels. The cameras flashed. The amount spent on the medical staff was not questioned. Nobody inquired about the costs associated with the player's body, who would need to continue making money for an additional 14 months before that facility would ever open. The response is insufficient. The Indiana Fever's 2025 Sportico valuation was $560 million, a 522% increase when Caitlin Clark moved to Indianapolis. On her back, a franchise worth $500 million was created, and on Wednesday afternoon, the back that created it collapsed. Take a look at how much Herb Simon's front office signed in 2026. The Las Vegas Aces, who won the championship 2 years in a row, dismissed Sydney Colson last season. In the previous year's playoffs, she averaged 3 minutes per game. Brought to Indianapolis for $90,000 in order to support Caitlin Clark. The 35-year-old veteran of the locker room, who has 2 rings, primarily came from the end of the Vegas bench. During her WNBA career, Tyasha Harris never averaged in the double figures. June 2025 knee surgery. April backcourt depth was signed. Natasha Howard, who walked to Minnesota for a deal Indiana wouldn't match, was replaced by Monique Billings. Last season, Damiris Dantas and Sophie Cunningham had few injuries. Herb Simon paid for that bench. To support the Women's National Basketball Association's most valuable player. When that player was unable to play on Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock, Tyasha Harris took over. 29 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 6. Herb Simon's checkbook provided that response to the query, what happens if Caitlin Clark goes down? 2 events occurred on Tuesday, May 19th. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway announced on Tuesday morning that Caitlin Clark would be the 110th Indianapolis 500 Grand Marshal. Caitlin Clark did not practice with the Indiana Fever on Tuesday night. The injury report did not include her. She wasn't on the dubious list. She was not marked as managed rest. She simply didn't rehearse. The Fever declared a day later that she would not be performing that evening. 90 minutes prior to tip, a back injury. A player who didn't practice on Tuesday has a back issue that wasn't listed on the injury report. There are 2 reasons. The medical personnel may have overlooked something, such as a back problem severe enough to cause her to scratch on Wednesday afternoon that wasn't mentioned in the report on Tuesday, or they may have known about it on Tuesday but failed to include it. Neither one assures you that this is being managed by a capable company. They both reveal something about Herb Simon's medical team that isn't being addressed by the $78 million spent on concrete. Sunday afternoon, 12:29, Indianapolis Motor 350,000 spectators watched the 110th Indianapolis 500 race at Speedway. Fox Network will show the pre-race ceremony live beginning at 10 in the morning. Jordan Sparks' national anthem. Then, in the most ceremonial line in American motorsport, Caitlin Clark stands in the pace car. "Start your engines, drivers." That order came from Larry Bird. That order came from Reggie Miller. Legends of Indiana basketball are in the front row at the world's biggest one-day athletic event. On a body that was incapable of surviving on Wednesday afternoon, none of them offered it. However, Caitlin Clark will. Injured 48 hours ago, her medical staff was unprepared for this. 12 hours after she may or may not have been on the floor during a Friday night game versus the Golden State Valkyries. Who made the decision that this is secure? The question is not rhetorical. When the Speedway first approached Caitlin Clark to participate in the Indy 500 Grand Marshal Honors 3 years ago, she declined. She was unable to. She was unable to accept because of the fever timetable. They agreed in 2026. On a body that shattered this week. That choice was not made in the life of Caitlin Clark, it was created in an organization's office. For 35 years, Herb Simon has been the owner. In 1983, Herb Simon acquired the Indiana Pacers. Back then, small-market NBA teams were having a hard time surviving. Simon managed to keep the Pacers in Indianapolis. In 1999, ownership of the Indiana Fever came next. At that point, the franchise was born. He has signed checks for the Fever for 27 years. He has owned basketball in this city for 35 years. He was inducted as a contributor by the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2024. He was personally introduced by Adam Silver. In Springfield, Massachusetts, the plaque is displayed. 24 months later, the player whose entrance increased his team's worth by $500 million sat on a bench wearing street clothes because no one in her immediate vicinity noticed the back ailment. The $78 million Performance Center, which was meant to address all of that, won't open for another 14 months. Caitlin Clark, a starting WNBA point guard since 2022, must endure 14 more months with a back that broke once this week on a team Herb Simon assembled without any backup or players in front of her. A facility that opens in 2027, a Hall of Fame plaque, a Hall of Fame owner, and no response when she fell on May 20th. Herb Simon will be at the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday afternoon at 12:29. He is at all times. He is a symbol of Indianapolis. He will observe Caitlin Clark while she stands in the pace car. He'll watch her issue the order. On Wednesday at 5 o'clock, 350,000 people will support the woman whose body Herb Simon's team, the Indiana Fever, was unable to defend. The Fever then takes a flight to San Francisco on Thursday. This time, they take on Golden State at Chase Center. In about a year, Natalie Nakase assembled a team from left draft players, the first-year playoff qualifying club. On Thursday, Caitlin Clark either sits or plays on the same back that gave out on Wednesday. Herb Simon's bench will be the solution in either case. A 0-for-6 bench. Before watching Sunday's race, every Indiana